If you think that winning in trading comes from a secret indicator, a hidden strategy, or insider information, then Mastering the Trade breaks this misconception in the very first minute. This book is the story of transforming trading from a gamble into a business. John F. Carter says it in simple words: "The market does not give you money. The market exposes your character." Now the story begins exactly where most people get stuck. New traders get excited looking at the market. The chart goes up, they buy. It comes down, they get scared. They see a little profit. They exit early. They see a little loss. They sit and wait and hope. And this disorder becomes their entire trading life. John Carter says one fundamental thing here: if you don't have a plan, then you become part of a plan, the market's plan. The first lesson of mastering the trade is this: before taking a trade, you must know, where is the entry? Where is the exit? How much is the risk? And when will the trade be proven wrong? If these four things are not clear, then it is not a trade, it is an emotion. Now the book reveals another big truth. Most people lose money in the wrong place. They think the strategy isn't working, but in reality, it is not the strategy but the mindset that fails. John Carter says the hardest task in trading is not reading the chart, but reading yourself. Now this book teaches you structure before indicators. Carter says repeatedly that the market is not random, but your emotions are random. Therefore, the system should be such that it prevents emotion from making decisions. Now comes the story of risk management. John Carter says this very strictly: a trader who does not control risk does not deserve profit. This book teaches you to focus more on how much could have been lost rather than how much was earned. Because when a trader learns to avoid losses, profits begin to come on their own. Now, mastering the trade brings a very important idea: consistency, big wins. One big trade does not make you rich, but small, controlled trades keep you alive in the market for the long term. John Carter says trading is a marathon, not a lottery. Now the book talks about trading style. Every human is not made for every style. Someone wants to be a scalper, but their mind is built for slow decisions. Someone is a swing trader, but looks at the chart every minute. Mastering the trade teaches this right here: do not change the strategy without changing yourself. First, understand how you think, then build a trading system accordingly. Now the story slowly comes to discipline. John Carter says, the market is not here to teach you discipline. The market is here to demand discipline. If you break the rules, then the market takes your money to teach you a lesson. Now this book talks about a very dangerous habit: revenge trading, taking a trade immediately after a loss, trying to fight the market with your ego. John Carter says this is not trading, it is emotional suicide. Mastering the trade teaches you to pause. Not the trade, but first to reset yourself. You have understood that mastering the trade is not a book of indicators, but a book of decision-making. Now John F. Carter stands you in front of the chart and asks a question: are you watching the chart, or is the chart driving you? This is where real trading begins. Now the book talks about setups, but not in a normal way. John Carter says most traders do not look for a setup, they look for an excuse to take a trade. A candle moved, entry taken. Indicator blinked, trade taken. Mastering the trade stops this. This book teaches you to wait. Carter says, best traders are not fast, they are patient. Now comes the story of support and resistance. But here, it is not about drawing lines. John Carter teaches where the market has fought before. That is where the next fight will be. Support resistance is not an estimate of the future. It is the effect of the past. Now, mastering the trade talks about volatility. When the market is calm, people get bored. But Carter says, low volatility is the calm before the storm. This is the time where professionals get ready and amateurs fall asleep. Now the book gives a very clear rule regarding entries: confirmation, not prediction. Do not think about what the market will do. See what the market is doing. Take the entry only when the market itself says yes. Now John Carter explains another important thing: time frame alignment. If the higher time frame is showing one direction and the lower time frame is against it, then it is not a trade, it is a conflict. Mastering the trade keeps you away from conflict. Now the book comes to position sizing. John Carter says clearly, more dangerous than a wrong trade is a trade that is too big. If your size robs you of your sleep, then that size is wrong. A trade should be such that even if a loss occurs, you can still look for the next setup. Now mastering the trade says a big truth about stop loss. Stop loss is not your enemy. It is your bodyguard. The trader who hates stop loss does not love their account. Now the story slowly moves toward confidence. Confidence does not come from a win. It comes from following the rule. If you followed the rule and a loss occurred, even then you were right. John Carter says, a correct decision and a profitable decision are not the same thing. You have learned to take an entry, but John F. Carter does not stop here, because most traders take the right entry but lose in the management. Now mastering the trade takes you into the middle of the trade, where fear and greed speak the loudest. John Carter says, after taking the trade, your work should be finished. If you are watching the screen at every tick, then you are not trading, you are self-torturing. Now the book tells the biggest mistake of trade management: micromanaging profits. Saw a little profit, took it out, but let the trade run in a loss. This is not logic, it is emotion. Mastering the trade breaks this pattern. John Carter teaches, keep losses small, let the profit speak. Now comes the story of profit targets. John Carter says the target is not decided by the market, it is decided by your plan. If you did not think of the target before entry, then the exit will also be a confusion. Mastering the trade asks a question before every trade. If everything goes according to plan, where will I exit? Now the book talks about scaling out. Exiting the whole position at once is not necessary, but a partial exit should be according to the rule, not according to fear. Now John Carter breaks another dangerous habit: moving stop loss. Removing the stop as the loss increases. Mastering the trade says, if the stop is to be moved, move it toward profit, not toward loss. Now the book comes to trailing stops. Carter explains that the trailing stop keeps you alive with the trend, but wrong trailing takes you out too early. Therefore, the rule is simple. The trailing stop should be behind the structure, not behind the emotion. Now mastering the trade talks about journaling. John Carter says, if you are not writing down the trade, you are not learning. A journal records not just entry-exit, but also thoughts. Why was the trade taken? How did it feel? Was the rule followed or not? This improves the future. Now comes the matter of confidence. Confidence does not come from profit, it comes from the process. If you took 100 trades with the same rule, then you have become a trader. You have learned entries, exits, and management. But John F. Carter says, if the ego is not under control, the strategy is useless. Mastering the trade now takes you to that place where traders break. Ego versus market. The market is not here to win against you. The market is here to teach you. But as soon as the trader thinks, I am right and the market is wrong, that is where the damage begins. John Carter says clearly, you don't argue with the market, you only adjust to the market. Now the book talks about overtrading, taking a trade every day, catching every move. This is not a skill, it is insecurity. Mastering the trade says, no trade is also a valid trade. When there is no setup, there is no trade. Being in the market is not necessary, staying alive is. Now comes the story of loss streaks, continuous losses. John Carter says, a loss streak is not a failure of strategy, it is a test of discipline. At this time, reducing trade size, decreasing frequency. This is the professional response. Now mastering the trade breaks another dangerous illusion: revenge trading. I have to take the money back. John Carter says, the market is not a bank where money is deposited. The market does not give anything back. You can only repeat mistakes or learn. Now the book talks about taking a break. When emotion is high, close the trade. Trading is not a compulsion. Mastering the trade teaches you, taking a break is not a weakness, it is wisdom. Now John Carter gives the deepest definition of discipline. Discipline does not mean following rules. It means not breaking rules. Now the story slowly comes to self-trust. When you follow the rule again and again, then you learn to trust yourself. And when self-trust comes, then the market stops scaring you. You have understood that mastering the trade is not just a book of charts, but a book of life's discipline. Now John F. Carter takes you into the routine of a professional trader. Because most people lose here. They think, today we will decide by looking at the market. But the professional trader prepares himself before looking at the market. John Carter says, you prepare for the trading day before the market opens, not after it opens. Now the book talks about routine. Waking up at the same time every day, following the same process, looking at the same checklist. This feels boring, but this is what creates consistency. Mastering the trade says, the trader who fears routine runs away from discipline. Now comes the story of pre-market analysis. John Carter teaches that before the day begins, answers to 3 questions are needed. What is the market trend? How is the volatility? Should I even trade today or not? If the answer to the 3rd question is no, then that too is a successful day. Now the book talks about the watch list. Every stock, every instrument does not need to be traded. The professional trader looks at fewer things repeatedly. Carter says, familiarity builds confidence. The stock that you watch every day, its movement is visible to you first. Now mastering the trade talks about focus. One thing at a time. While taking a trade, news, social media, opinions, all closed. John Carter says, distraction is the most expensive indicator. Now the book talks about energy management. Taking a trade with a tired mind leads straight to loss. The professional trader knows when to stop. Now, mastering the trade teaches post-market routine. After the day ends, looking at charts, filling the journal, writing down mistakes. This is the preparation for the next day. John Carter says, "The trader who forgets the market as soon as the day ends will repeat the same mistake tomorrow." Now comes the matter of confidence. Confidence does not come from a win. It comes from the process. If you followed the rule today, then the day is successful whether it was a profit or a loss. You have understood that mastering the trade is not just the art of winning, but the understanding of staying for the long term. Now, John F. Carter comes to the problem that most traders ignore: burnout. In the beginning, trading feels exciting. Hope in every candle, a dream in every move. But slowly, exhaustion starts to set in. Watching the screen constantly, the pressure of proving yourself every day. And this is where wrong decisions begin. John Carter says, "A tired trader is a wrong trader." Mastering the trade teaches trading is not a sprint, it is a marathon. You do not need to win every day, you need to stay alive every day. Now, the book talks about motivation. Motivation is not high every day, and the trader who depends on motivation loses consistency. John Carter says, "Not motivation, commitment is needed." Commitment to process, commitment to rules, commitment to self-respect. Now, mastering the trade talks about emotional balance. When there is continuous profit, then overconfidence comes. When there is continuous loss, then self-doubt. The professional trader stays away from both. Carter says, "Extreme emotions bring extreme losses." Now, the book talks about expectations. If you expect to make money from every trade, then you are buying frustration. Mastering the trade teaches you the job of every trade is not to give profit, it is to follow the process. Profit is a side effect. Now, John Carter breaks the habit of comparison, watching others' profits, social media screenshots. All this eats away confidence. Mastering the trade says, your journey is yours. Someone else's speed is not your speed. Now, the book talks about identity. You are a trader, but you are not just a trader. If the market went bad, then you do not become a bad person. John Carter says, market results do not decide your value. You have understood everything from discipline, routine, emotion, to burnout. But John F. Carter knows that in trading, a phase is bound to come where everything seems to be breaking. This is the bad phase. Trades fail continuously. The setup is the same, the rules are the same, but there is no result. And right here, most traders start considering themselves wrong. John Carter says a very deep thing here. A bad phase is not here to finish you, it is here to refine you. Mastering the trade teaches that at this time, the first thing is reducing size. When confidence is shaken, then walk slowly in the market. Small size calms the ego and clears the mind. Now, the book states another important step: observation mode. Taking a trade at all times is not necessary. For some days, just watch. Watch the chart, watch the setup being formed, but do not take a trade. John Carter says, observation is also a part of trading. Now, mastering the trade talks about self-talk. In a bad phase, what you say to yourself is what either saves you or drowns you. I am useless, or I am learning. The difference lies in these words. Now, the book states the safest way to rebuild confidence. Rule-based wins. Not profit, but rule-following wins. If you took 3 trades continuously according to the rule, then confidence starts returning. Now, John Carter tells of another dangerous trap: system hopping. Changing the strategy as soon as a bad phase arrives. Mastering the trade says, do not change the system. Improve the execution, because every system sees a drawdown. Now, the book talks about patience. Patience does not mean waiting. It means taking action at the right time. The professional trader knows when to take a trade and when to stop himself. Now, mastering the trade says a very quiet but true thing. Everyone wins in trading, but not everyone survives. Survival is the first condition for success. You have learned to emerge from loss, bad phase, and self-doubt. But John F. Carter says, the real test is not in loss, but in profit. When trades start working, when the account starts growing, that is when discipline breaks the most. Now, mastering the trade talks about the biggest danger that comes after success: overconfidence. Now I understand. Now I can increase the risk a little. Today, the market is with me. This thinking becomes tomorrow's loss. John Carter says clearly, the market never gives you a certificate. Every day is a new day. Now, the book talks about increasing position size, but not by emotion, but by rule. If size is to be increased, then slowly and only when the system is long-term profitable. Mastering the trade says, increasing size is a reward, not a right. Now, John Carter talks about the comfort zone. When everything is going right, then rules start feeling loose. The professional trader stays alert here. Discipline breaks the most during easy times. Now the book talks about celebration. Celebrate the win, but outside the market. In front of the trading screen, no emotion. John Carter says, if you left emotion in the market will take the money. Now mastering the trade teaches humility. In front of the market, no one is an expert. The trader who remains humble is the one who lasts for a long time. Now the book talks about balance. Life is not just trading. If your happiness depends only on profit, then one loss will break you. The professional trader builds a life outside the market as well. You learned how to choose a setup, how to handle loss, how to maintain discipline and profit. Now mastering the trade takes you to that stage where a trader goes beyond the system and builds an identity. John F. Carter says, a good trader is identified not by strategy but by process. Now the book talks about daily routine. A professional trader is not random. His day runs in a fixed structure, preparation before market open, marking levels, news awareness, and most importantly, checking one's own mental state. If the mind is not calm, then even the best setup can go wrong. Now John Carter says a deep thing. You cannot control the market, but you can control yourself. Mastering the trade right here talks about ego. Ego is the trader's biggest enemy. How can I be wrong? How can the market go against my analysis? The market does not care what you think. The trader who lets go of ego is the one who learns quickly. Now the book teaches simplicity. As a trader matures, indicators start disappearing from charts. Fewer tools, more clarity. John Carter says, if it takes 10 minutes to explain the system, then it is not a system, it is confusion. Now mastering the trade talks about long-term survival. The goal is not to make money every day. The goal is to stick around in the market. The trader who survives is the one who compounds. Now the book redefines failure. Failure is not a loss. Failure is breaking rules, revenge trade, entry without a plan. If you followed the rules and a loss occurred, then that is not failure. It is training. Now John Carter talks about the trading journal. A journal is not just numbers. What you thought, what you felt, and what you learned. The professional trader extracts data from every trade. You learned how a setup is formed, how risk is managed, how mindset is controlled, why discipline is most important. Now mastering the trade takes you to that place where most people never reach. John F. Carter says, mastery does not mean winning every trade. Mastery means trust in yourself. Now the book tells a bitter truth. The market will never become your friend. The market does not give you anything. You take it yourself. The trader who accepts this truth is the one who becomes emotionally free. Now mastering the trade talks about freedom. The goal of trading is not luxury. It is freedom of choice. Whether to trade today or not, whether to reduce size today or not, whether to stay away from the market today or not. The professional trader does not run away from the market, but he does not run after the market either. Now John Carter gives one last lesson. Best traders are boring. No drama, no excitement, no overconfidence. Just plan, patience, execution. Now the book asks you a question. Can you follow the process when profit is slow? Will you not break rules when ego is hurt? This is where 99% of people lose. Now, mastering the trade ends on a powerful line. The market does not make you successful. You make yourself. Trading is no shortcut, no secret, no magic indicator, only discipline, consistency, self-awareness. If you can uphold these three for years, then the market will not be able to ignore you. Now, this journey ends here, but your journey begins from here. If you liked this entire Mastering the Trade audiobook-style summary, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comment, discipline over emotion, because a true trader adopts this very mantra.